Lots of reasons over a long period of time. Basically, inept management, a certain amount of tension between the group as time went on. It was okay to start with, obviously, because everyone was focused on what we were doing and we were trying to get a record deal. But as time went on, there were arguments about artwork and videos, and it just it deteriorated a bit. But towards the end, it was management to a great extent. But because Siouxsie and Steve supported Niels, the manager, it became a 3 against 2 situation. And then one of the breaking points was the gig in Belfast where none of our equipment arrived. So we were stuck with no stage set, no amps, no guitars, no nothing. And so we had a hall full of very disappointed people in Belfast. It's the worst gig I've ever done, really. But they were so disappointed and we were horrified at having to play in that situation. That was the first real full gig of that tour as well. So that whatever wasn't broken was broken that night. It all went pretty well to start with. Well, actually, Hong Kong Garden was a bit of a mess to start with because we had a producer from Muscle Shoals in America who didn't know what to do with us. But we got Steve Lillywhite in to do the remake, basically. We kept Voices, which was on the B-side, and he was so good, we kept him for the screen, and I wish we'd had him on Join Hands, but that's another story. Yeah, up to The Staircase, everything was going fine, but then Niels got Mike Stavro in, who had been an engineer on a Bolan album. That's the only recommendation he had. We didn't get on with him at all. Well, Kenny and I didn't get on with him at all. He was a little sarcastic, just not pleasure to work with. And then he got the album because Niels wanted him to be on the album, apparently. And we didn't really get a say. If we complained about things, Niels would always say, well, you find one then. You do it. You know, that's no answer for a manager to give you, really. You should make sure everyone's happy. And so he had a very unhappy band on that album. Yeah, that's difficult for even me to track, but I mean, I fell in love with guitar in the 60s, not only pop music, but Django Reinhardt inspired me. My stepfather had a big record collection when he turned up, and he had a record called The Art of Django, which had an artist's palette on the front, which caught my eye, and just the playing was incredible, you know. Pure guitar, really. Well, there was the violin too, but just the way he played guitar was great. Going through to the 70s, Bowie and Bolan and Roxy Music were influences, but what really turned me in the end towards what I wanted to do was when I heard Television, the Marquee Moon album. That's really what gave me the clue. I've never sat down and copied anyone, but it just, the ethos, just the sound, it just sounded modern to me, you know, as some other things did, like Iggy Pop's The Idiot album. Just inspiring, just felt like there was a path to follow to the future rather than being a blues-based or glam rock-based thing, you know. It got to 89 after my first wife Linda and I went around record companies for 10 years, and we had a group, we had songs, we played live, probably not enough, but we made demo tapes, which is what is on this new record, but we just didn't get any interest. Where we did, there was some spoiler, like an A&R man who disagreed with the head of the company. That happened at Chrysalis. The head of the company liked it, wanted to put us into Air Studios. His head A&R man said no. And we went to see him and he said, I'm sorry, but you can't have a dog and bark yourself. So that was the end of that. Things like that happened constantly. So we got to 89 and we did a gig in Leeds, and I felt like it was a warm-up gig for a tour that was never going to happen. So I just had it by then, you know. I did get some money from publishing finally in 1990. I got some stuff to record at home, some equipment, but then my wife got ill and barely survived that. And then she got ill quite a lot of times after that, and we concentrated on just working, earning a living, until turn of the century. She couldn't work anymore, so I worked full time from then on. So not much time for music. It's coming out now because partly because my wife died in 2020. I met Laurie, who I'd known for 30 years. My wife and I had known her. We met during COVID, so we used to walk on Hampstead Heath and in other parks during COVID and talk, and we had a lot in common. And she was a lot more sociable than I am, so she had friends that did things to do with music, including someone who put a show on every summer. I did a solo show, which encouraged me and encouraged the people that came to see me that have been following me for years, or friends as well. That led on gradually to doing interviews live, which encouraged me. I got people really enthusiastic in the audience. And then a friend of mine, Vince, helped me get the deal with Tiny Global. Right. And that's it. I'm more a writer than she was, but we did co-write. To start with, I was writing by myself, but actually she got more involved with the group and started singing with me. Then we started cooperating more with the lyrics. There, I mean, across the board. I mean, some political, some like Fun on the Floor is basically just a love song, you know. They're about all sorts of things. Once Black 5 is about a steam train, the Stania Black 5, which was like a workhorse on British Railways just after the war. Well, 40s. Flair is about leaving the Banshees, basically. That's the first song I wrote when I left. It started with my birthday was 6th of June, Linda's was the 7th of June, so that's pretty straightforward, 6s and 7s, and we were the basis of the group. Then there's the expression, I'm all at 6s and 7s, which means I'm confused, I don't know where I am. The other reason is one of the last albums that Linda and I really loved together before she died was called Ones and Sixes by a group called Low, an American group. So that kind of, it all just came together, and I thought I've just got to call it 6s and 7s. That came together, actually, I mean, in the 80s, I lost a bass player, and, well, I'd been through about 4 already, lost one, and I just could not find one afterwards. And in the end, I split the signal of my guitar and it went straight into a bass amp. So it was like a 4-piece, but there was one person missing. So this time, I wasn't very confident about getting musicians until, again, a friend of Laurie's, Jen, who sings with the Priscillas, said she'd agreed to help me out singing, because I needed, particularly if I'm doing Banshees songs, I need somebody to sing them, because they're not designed for me to sing them. I don't mind singing, I sing on the old Zorgabor stuff. So when it came to do the rehearsal, she said, shall I bring my drummer and my bass player down? So I said, yeah, fine. The drummer turned out to be great. The bass player didn't really know how to do it. Again, it was the same situation as I'd had in the 80s. I thought, oh no, it's happening again. But she couldn't make the next rehearsal, and Billy King did make the the rehearsal. He was asked by Yola if he wanted to come down. He said, yeah, great. And that's it. Suddenly I had a band. That's the quickest ever. Yeah, definitely. We're doing Rebellion in August, and yeah, I'm hoping to get some gigs set up soon.